forward to difficult conversations or calls or presentations? Well, anybody can actually do that if they want to. And this is exactly what happened to my client. When she reached out to me, she said, Susan, I am at my wit's end. I have been practicing to no end. I keep visualizing, I keep meditating, and no matter what I do, I've even tried to take medications, things to calm me down, but no matter what I do, even the thought of me having to present sends me into spirals, into panic attacks, fear. I don't know what to do with myself anymore. And by the way, within a short time, this person went from shaking uncontrollably, panic attacks, anxiety, to actually, ready for this? Looking forward. That's right, looking forward to presenting, to showing up in the boardroom, to getting on sales calls, to getting into difficult conversations. How does that happen? Well, here I'm going to explain to you how, but even more importantly, not only what is really going on here, because a lot of times people think that, oh, I just need to practice more, and after maybe a couple of years, then maybe eventually one day I will feel comfortable. Yeah, that's the hard road. That's possible, but that's going to take a long, long time, because you see, what's controlling this is actually the mind. And once you understand how your mind works and how to control it from there, the change will be so much easier. Because here's the thing. Yes, you could be the greatest expert. You could be so competent in your field. You could be so knowledgeable. You could have all the right qualifications. You could have all the right credentials. You could have enough experience. But if underneath the surface shows up this fear and this anxiety and hesitation and nerves, right? Because a lot of people complain to me that just when, right, when it really matters, when the stakes are really high, like, why is it so hard that when it matters the most, right, when you know you want to show up as your best self, like you're like, I've got to shine here, why is it that exactly at that moment, those moments, it feels like your body is betraying you? Well, I'm going to explain that to you, because first of all, this does not warrant blaming or shaming or even getting upset about. Nobody has explained to you how that mind-body connection works, okay? And yes, it is the mind influencing the body, and then it's the body producing this anxiety and the nerves, or feeling self-conscious. Yes, that's a fact. First, though, we've got to look at what is causing the mind to influence the body with these feelings that we don't want, right? Instead, you want to show up as your best self. You want to feel confident. You want to feel comfortable in your skin. Well, here's number one. The mind is not designed to help us thrive, to help us grow, to help us expand. The mind is designed to keep us safe and quote unquote comfortable, which is a bit of an inappropriate word, quite frankly. But the mind is doing everything possible to keep us protected in a little cocoon, keep us quote unquote safe, keep us where it's familiar. Okay? And the mind will fight tooth and nail anytime it notices anything that is a bit unfamiliar, or what we might interpret as scary, as, oh, this might be hard, oh, people might judge me, oh, what if I mess up? When we have that thought, the mind will produce sort of this anxiety, these nerves to be like, okay, fine, we'll protect you, and we'll keep you small, and now you don't have to do this presentation, when that's actually the exact opposite of what we want. Right? So please keep in mind, this is just how the mind is designed. And what we need to do is reprogram what the mind has associated with about this speaking. Because if I consider, oh, if I go live on YouTube, and right, if I whatever, and if I associate going live with, oh, what if people hate me? What if I fail? What if I sound dumb? What if I sound like it, right? If I associate all these negative experiences, and if I'm gonna go in there expecting the worst case scenario, and if I expect that I'm gonna not be good, or right, then think about it. I am already in my mind imagining worst case scenario. When is the other shoe going to drop? How are all these things going to go really, really bad and south? And then, of course, I'm going to show up with, so what we helped this woman, and this is what I do with my clients, is help them literally reprogram their mind so that instead of when she now goes out, and again, she has a very difficult role in her job, as if that wasn't hard enough, lots of responsibility, massive decision making. She's got to lead her team powerfully. She has to show up on that stage confidently to move people, to motivate people, to pitch, to sell, whatever, right? And so that is where insecure energy just isn't gonna fly, it's not gonna work. And I explained that to her. I said, look, keep in mind, this has nothing to do with you, because here you're hardworking, you are driven, you're motivated, you bent over backwards to get to where you are. You've jumped through all kinds of hoops. This has nothing to do with your credentials. This has nothing to do with your competency. And please, this has nothing to do with your personality. Because needless to say, you already work hard. You want this, everything is there, except what's not on board yet is your mind. Because your mind is still trying to trick you and tease you and remind you and convince you, keeping you in this fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of success. What if it doesn't work out? What if you fail miserably? What if people laugh at you? What if you humiliate yourself? What if you lose your train of thought? And on and on and on. And so when I have those thoughts, when you have those thoughts, do you really think that those are going to be encouraging, inspiring, uplifting ideas? And so exactly not. Right? So now we must first have a little conversation or a big conversation with the mind and say, hold on, thank you for trying to protect me all these years. I love you, appreciate, and adore you. But the game has changed. The rules have changed. We are going to change. From now on, I want you to associate me speaking publicly to things like winning and success and prestige, and I'm gonna be respected, and people are gonna hang on to every word I say, and I get to serve humanity. I get to serve the crowd. I get to share something really, really useful and powerful, which means I will have more income. I will have more impact. I will have more adoring fans. So notice how this just completely shifts, because now I'm associating public speaking with, oh, this is really going to work out. Oh my God, I really get to help people. Oh my God, I really get to make a difference in the world. Wow, what will that feel like when I can show up feeling confident, feeling proud of myself, feeling prepared, right? Feeling like I own the stage. And you now have a completely different perspective about how you see yourself. Instead of feeling insecure, inadequate, inferior, equals imposter syndrome. Now, notice what just shifted. And when we can get our mind on board and convince, and this doesn't even need convincing, quite frankly, this just needs reprogramming, rewiring. And there are so many things that are associated, right? The mind literally buys into all these, which they're really big objections, right? On no, 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 you shouldn't do that because what, and yeah, and then we kind of spiral down, and that's not useful, and this is so, and by the way, the world's largest fear, right, is the fear of public speaking, which fear of death comes in number two. That means, right, and in that episode, the oh gosh, I forget the name, right? It kind of demonstrated that actually the person would rather be buried than doing the eulogy. You see how twisted that is, and yet nerves, right? Heart, fear, all these things show up, and it's simply a matter of helping you, understand that first of all, it's our mind in this case that still has control over us, which is something we can change. And when you have a conversation with your mind, be like, oh, no, 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 we're not doing this anymore. You're not in charge of me. I'm in charge of you. And I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. When you can have that conversation and then you start to embody it, right? So that that new behavior gets cemented in. And all of a sudden, now you're seeing success, you're seeing joy. And this is why my client was like, she's like, I can't believe how we did that. And the very next week, she's like, Susan, you won't believe it. I, instead of having panic attacks at night and insomnia, not being able to sleep, I was actually, she was almost like shy it was like a confession. She goes, I was looking forward, like I didn't even recognize myself. I'm like, yeah, because that's the real you. That's the real you. That's the real you that recognizes your talent, your abilities, your skills, your experience. And as if for the first time in your life, you're finally able to give yourself credit and celebrate yourself the way you deserve to be celebrated. And that's the difference that makes a difference. So, this whole fear of public speaking, please know it's huge. It's huge. It impacts so many people, especially when the stakes are high, right? When we need to show up as, here I need to be my best self, all of a sudden, boom, my body is like, I feel betrayed. Nope. That just simply means the conscious and the subconscious are not in alignment with each other, because part of you wants this and part of you is scared here, and they're not working together. You see? And so, more practice or going to Toastmasters or reading your script over and over isn't going to fix that, because fundamentally, your mind, right? The mind has still associated all this negativity with the act of public speaking. So, we got to start there. That's the foundation. We got to start there. And then you can practice till the cows come home, because here's the thing, practice is going to be cut not in half, like in a quarter, because you're gonna feel so much more comfortable and natural and easy. And think about it, when our body's relaxed and loose, and when we can have fun, when we can show up just like, right, that is the information, right? You can study so much easier. All the learning will just go right in, because you're no longer in that stress state, in that anxiety state. You're now instead in, it's go time, show time, and I'm excited to show up. See the difference here? And this is something so many people, I mean, when I ask my clients, like, okay, how long have you been suffering with this? And they'll tell me years, decades sometimes. And I was like, and how much has this cost you? Not to be, but let's be honest here. If is this even worth fixing? And then they'll tell me how many opportunities they have left on the table, how many times they knew they were the smartest person in the room, but they were too afraid to raise their hand. How many times they did not show up to the meeting because they felt, oh, I'm shy, or, well, I'm an introvert, or, well, that's just not me, I'm just not confident, charisma, I don't know. That is inaccurate. That is an old story that, I get it, you might have bought into a long time ago. I get it, that might have been a history, that might have been a long time thing. No problem. No problem. But the question is this how you want to continue? And just because that was the old you doesn't mean you can't change this. You can't. I see this every single day with my clients. You can absolutely change this naturally and as fastly as humanly possible. So the question is, right? Is this interfering? Is this showing up in your life? Have you already paid a big price for this problem? And this, because we need to understand, like, is this even worth fixing? Is it even worth spending a lot of time, money, energy on trying to fix this? Because here's the thing, logically, the return on investment should be exponentially bigger than what we invest. Make sense? And then when I ask my clients, like, what do you think this was worth to you? They can't give me a dollar. They're like, I don't know, 50,000, 100, because that's exactly the amount of money I had left on the table in the past. All the ways I played small and I felt stuck and I stayed in my little comfort zone, which of course it's not a comfort zone. Nothing comfortable happens in the comfort zone. And that's another disclosure. I've had so many of my clients, again, confession time. Yeah, it seemed like it was comfortable and I was doing busy work, but I never got to those income producing jobs, those things that really move the needle. And it really all comes down to fear and anxiety. And it's what your mind associated to those things. And that's where we need to start. And when we fix that, income will follow. Fun will follow. Respect that you deserve to get will follow. The recognition you deserve will follow. Because it's just a note now, because now we're We're working with alignment. You see? Um, Let me just see if there are any comments. I appreciate you guys being here. Discipline and these things behind you are key books. Oh, you can actually read that? Wow. You must have really good eyesight. What I see more than anything is humans who refuse to read and educate themselves. All things can be found in those books. Appreciate your words, Bruce. I agree, and this is very important in my experience, in my opinion, having worked with hundreds of people, information is great, but information doesn't change people. It just doesn't. They say knowledge is power. Ish. It's a good start, but until you implement information, implementation, experiences, when you embody this new, that's what moves the needle. That's what makes the change. I can have a PhD until the cows come. I can have the best degrees. I can regurgitate all these books. None of that matters if I don't have the ability to show up different in the, especially in the workforce, in the workplace. That's where the rubber meets the road. So it's just, information is a great start, and I agree with you, right? Education, nobody can ever take it away from you. Absolutely brilliant, gold, yes, and there has to be an end. After you gain the information, what are you willing to implement, to actually put action? What are you willing to do about it? And this is where people get cold feet. This is then often where they're like, oh my God, I know I was the smartest person in the room, but I was too afraid to speak up. Ah, that's not, no, we can't have that. We can't have that, because now you're leaving a lot of money on the table. You're not making the impact you deserve to make. You're not showing up as your best self. And by the way, how do you, again, let's talk about social status and hierarchy, special in the marketplace, right? And this, again, has nothing to do with dominance or being aggressive, but it has all to do with, if you're going to show up, you get to be the best version, the first class, world class version of you. And anybody already has that inside. But it's that mind and those old stories that sort of keep us stuck in that little, oh, it can't be you. No, that has to, we got to put an end to that. And information isn't enough. The transformation has to happen within, so that when you need it, when you want it, that confidence can start to build from within, so that you can feel it. And when you feel it, you show up as your best self. And when you show up as your best self, you can influence everybody in that room. And they will feel you coming, never mind hear you. And that is what moves the needle. And that is actually also what causes people around you to feel very comfortable and comforted, because they feel so good in that energy. They feel safe. They feel nurtured when you can show up with that level of confidence. And when, again, everything matches, every cell in your body, right? Your tonality, your voice, your posture, the way you breathe, the way you speak, everything will match that. And that creates a powerful communicator that is able to not just move the needle, but move people. So I hope this makes sense. And thanks again for your comment. I really appreciate it. Um, Anyhow, look, this is what I do with my clients. And really, typically, the biggest obstacles that I see is anxiety, fear. And this really comes down to self-esteem issues, right? Feeling insecure, feeling inadequate, which it hurts me to even say that, because when we look at the data, when we look at the facts, when we look at all the education, the way a person, a professional is qualified, it just doesn't add up. It makes no sense. But they feel inadequate. They always feel like they need to prove themselves, which of course breeds more insecurity, right? And especially in the workplace, that doesn't go over so well. And I would imagine that you didn't jump through all these hoops to get to where you are now, to just feel shy and, you know, introvert or whatever excuses we blame on our personality. No problem. You get to be shy. You get to be an introvert. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm shy. I'm an introvert. But when it comes time to serving humanity and showing up and right and helping my clients, there's no more shy, there's no introvert. It's like go time, show time. Let's help these people. And right, so um anybody can experience that, anybody can achieve that. And so we have two choices here. We can either let the mind dominate and take over and control the show, or you can be like, we're not doing that anymore. I get to be in control. I get to get in alignment with my mind and literally have this negotiation that will lead to transformation. So hope this made sense. If you like this kind of content, like and follow for more. If you want to connect with me, there is a link in my bio. We can continue this conversation and I'll meet you there. Thanks again.